My name is Devin Green, and I'm doing my J-Tech video on power. Now, when we talk about power, we always want to start at the source. And the source of any vehicle will be the battery. Now, with the battery, there are many different types of batteries. You have two specific styles of batteries. You have your primary battery and your secondary battery. The difference between the two is the primary battery can be used but cannot be recharged. The secondary battery can be recharged. Now, the first type of battery you have is the most common, called a lead acid type of battery. That's what this is right here. This is your standard lead acid battery. The second type of battery will be nickel metal hybrid. Your third type would be lithium ion. Your fourth type would be your valve regulated lead battery. And your fifth type would be absorbed glass mat. And then you have spiral cell Ultima. And a gel cell. And last, your ultra capacitor. Now, before you do anything to the battery, whether it's jumping it, or anything else like that, you want to do a visual check on the battery. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that there's no water on the battery, there's no corrosion around the leads, that the brackets are firmly tight, because if this bracket isn't firmly tight and it starts to vibrate, that's a good way to destroy your battery. You want to also make sure that there's no cracks along the sides of the battery. And you want to make sure that there's no swelling. Now, swelling of the battery could come from two different things. It can come from the battery overheating or the battery being too cold. Either way, it's very dangerous working on a battery like that. So you want to make sure that you have your personal protective equipment. Now, I suggest leather, because leather doesn't transmit electricity, so you have a better chance of not getting electrocuted with leather. You want to make sure that you have your eye protection, because the acid from the battery can splash in your eyes and do some serious damage. You want to make sure that you have some coveralls, preferably on your arms as well, just because of the same reason for the acid. It can get on your skin, eat your skin up. So safety is always number one with dealing with any kind of heavy equipment such as a vehicle. Now, after I done check the battery to make sure that it's in proper condition, that it's not moving in the housing, I want to do a continuity test to make sure that there's even power in the battery. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ohm meter and I'm going to set it to volts. Normally you want to wait till it's zero out, but I don't have time for that. Now you take the black lead, you place it on the negative side. You take the red lead, you place it on the positive side. And it's going to tell me how much power I have in my battery. It says I have 13.5 0.23. Now normally your standard vehicle battery will be 12 volts. So I know what you're thinking. How did I get 13 volts? Well, you're always gonna your battery's never gonna be exact on 12 volts. You're always gonna have a little bit more. Okay? Now the next thing I'm gonna wanna do, since I know that the battery has power, is I wanna do a voltage drop test. But right now, I'm gonna do parasitic drain. And first thing you do with parasitic drain is you unloosen your bolts, so you'll be able to take this connector off of your battery. Then you place the negative lead on the disconnected part, on the disconnected connector, and the positive on the battery itself. Well, I did it backwards. That's why it has that negative sign up there. But it doesn't really matter because I'm still going to get the same. Now it says I have a 13.09%. Oh, 13.10. 11. It's actually pretty good. Because remember, when I started, when I did my load test, it said that I had 13.18. So that means I'm only losing, I have a drop of 0.08. Now, if you want to find out where that 0.08 is, it could be a couple of places. One, your wires are always going to pull some kind of power, because when you have electronics on in your vehicle, any kind of electronics, where it be the lights or the radio, even the timer in your radio that keeps the time, that's going to automatically pull something. But if you want to check exactly where you're getting a lot of parasitic draw from, I suggest you have clamps, because these leads aren't going to really work too well. But I'm going to go over the steps with you so that you'll understand how to do it if you need to do so. So I would disconnect this once more. I place the negative lead on the battery itself and the positive, it's touching. On the positive on the cord. And since it's below 13, imagine me having clamps connected to these. Then I will go into my... I'm going to test the alternator. Let's check it to see if we have any bad diodes. And to do that, put on your bolts. Make sure that it's actually on bolts. You'll know when it's on bolts when you see that B there. Check to see if my connection is good through the wiring. In order to do that, I'm gonna use the amp meter. Put it on 400 amps. Zero it out. Put it on 9.4. Now I'm going to do a 18 AC ripple. Now in order to do an AC ripple, I want to make sure that it's on AC volts. And make sure that the dial is turned on the volts too as well. And as you see, it's blinking. It's not supposed to do that. If it blinks on and off like that, that's because we could possibly have a bad diode. That will conclude the testing of batteries and the wiring system. Thanks for watching.